So I'm here in my office editing a video of some footage where I tried to take a rear bumper and make it fit on the car. I think you guys might have known by now, if you've been watching along, that stylistically I don't really like the bumpers that are on the car. I have ideas of what I want to make fit on the car, however it's presenting a challenge because I need to make this something that can be reversible. I can't just weld things onto the chassis. I mean, I could, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to make it something that's reversible. So what I've been trying to play around with is shrinking some regular bumpers onto these cars and mounting them up. The Jeep bumper went okay. It's still not finished, and I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. However, on the rear bumper, I tried to use a bumper from an S10 project that I have. It's just a trash bumper. I figured, heck, let's cut it up and see if we can make it fit. But as you'll see in the footage from Fast Forward to Failure, I don't really know how to make this work. I know how to cut down the bumper and weld it together. That's kind of the easy part. But trying to get this to fit on the car while still being removable is a big challenge that I'm facing, and I don't know if I can pull it off. So if you, the viewers, have any ideas or advice on how I can pull it off without cutting down the chassis, or maybe I just need to scrap the idea because it doesn't look like it's going to work to me. So I'm just going to present the footage that I do have. Maybe you guys can help. But this is my process. This is what I've got going on. Let's see what you guys think. Welcome to New Yankee Auto Systems, where I've got a cutoff wheel, a welder, a bumper, and an idea. Might be a bad idea. People surely aren't going to like it. But I'm going to try it anyway. So on the Petty Chevy, some of it I just can't creatively think of the best way to make a front bumper that I want, that I think looks cool. A rear bumper that looks cool. I was going to retain the original Legends bumper with these turn signal housings that I made, but I kind of just don't like the fitment anymore. And I kind of just had an idea. The front bumper that I had up there was the Jeep bumper, and then I had an extra S10 bumper that I've been playing around with the idea of. So I thought, well, let's put the S10 bumper on the rear of the car and see what that looks like. And that's this. This is the original Legends rear bumper. I mean, it's cool to have like a Legends car on the road and it look like a Legends race car, but I kind of, it's a little pedestrian for me. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna take this bumper off. I'm gonna put this bumper on. Now this is not going to be final form, obviously. This is a really rough bumper. I replaced my other S10 bumper with a good one. This one has got a whole bunch of patchwork in it, which I don't know if I'm even going to retain, but this will make a decent mock-up bumper at least. And the reason why I'm kind of thinking about this is where the bumper sits right now seems to kind of match up with that fender line there. So if I can shrink this bumper, weld it back together, and get it in place, stylistically, if I can pull it off, I think it'll look pretty awesome. Let's give it a shot. At this point, I was just making a rough center line on the bumper so I could fit everything up and get an idea of where I was going to have to start cutting, and then I was marking off where I was going to cut the tabs off so I can move this bumper further in and get a better fitment. that I have those tabs cut off, I can get the bumper to sit in a little further and I can get a better idea of where I'm gonna have to cut this bumper to shrink it. There's a couple things that I wanna keep about the design of the bumper if I can figure it out. But let's take a look. So I made a center line, or at least a rough center line, based on this peak here in the bumper. I'd like to retain that. Now I know it's definitely off center, but I can work on that. I just wanted to give somewhere to give me a rough reference for side to side. The reason why I want to keep a good rough reference for side to side, I would like to figure out a way to keep this drop in the bumper. I think that looks pretty cool, but the big thing that I'm going to have to cut out of this bumper is this section here. I have a ton of space that I'm going to need to come in on this bumper. So I think what that's going to mean is I'm going to have to do a relief cut down here so that I can keep this section, cut it off here, and then cut my section out so I can bring this in and weld it. That's the idea. Let's see how poorly we execute. So I've had a bit of a think on this, and I'm gonna try and do this the easiest way possible. Might not be the best way possible to save that peak, but this is a trash bumper anyway. It's gonna be used for mock-up. Or, if I do it right, then maybe I might be able to weld it back together, save those holes and all that. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut directly on the center peak, if I can. I'm gonna try and do that with my chop saw. I've measured my distances from this edge of the wing to this edge of the wing, assuming that I'm going to push this out and make it a little more rigid. It's about 9 inches. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try and chop saw right here, dead center if I can, and then I'm gonna measure 9 inches on each side and try and chop saw again. Then I can bring both halves together and hopefully still create a peak because everything falls off from this edge on either side. So it should still create a peak. But that's what I'm gonna get started on. See how it shakes out. I'm going to preface this whole segment by saying this is not how you should do it. I should be using a cutoff wheel. Don't have the patience for it. I'm trying to get a more centered cut. Do not try to do this at home because it's dumb. It's really dumb. But I'm gonna put my safety glasses on, my gloves, my earmuffs, try and do this as safely as I can, but it's really dumb. Well, it worked, sort of. Only really in the sense that it's cut in half. It's not cut in half straight. I don't think that's gonna be a big deal though, because I just need it to be cut in half so I can make some reference marks. I can pull the bumper in with the wings now that I have 2 pieces and set it and try and go off the center line of the car to try and get my next cut line, which I'm gonna just have to be patient and use a cutoff wheel for. But this is what I have. So it's in half. This is the cut that I started with on the back side. I tried to just center it in the hole. And I tried to center to the hole I made before, but I was quite off. That's fine. Like I said, I'm gonna put this up on the car, set my wings in, and try and work with the center line there and just be really patient with my cutoff wheel. So let's go try and start to do that. Immediate problem. I thought this was going to be the case. I didn't want it to be, but I thought it was going to happen. The fender itself is way longer than where the bumper is going to lie on the car. Now I'm already planning on getting this in as close as I can so that the front of this will match there. I don't want to cut the fender. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Just get like a plane, get this level to where I want it, and then just chop the fender. I don't want to have to buy this fender again. It's still in decent shape, so I don't want to cut on it. I think I'm going to be cutting on the crap bumper. I was going to work on cutting the side of this top part of the bumper out when almost immediately I realized that something was not right with my cutoff wheel. After changing over to a fresh cutoff disc, I hadn't installed the tightening nut correctly, so I off-camera fixed that and made sure that it was right and checked it. This could have been real bad. Safety first, kids. Did you catch that? That, right there. That is a look of just utter disappointment and failure and complete frustration. So that's the episode. I've come to a point with the rear bumper where I had to just mentally stop because I'm not a fabricator. I don't actually know how to make this work. It's just something that I'm trying. If you, the viewers, know of anything that I can do to make this bumper shrink down and fit without cutting the chassis horns, maybe I have to extend the length of the sides of the bumpers to make it fit. I don't know. Maybe I just need to scrap the whole idea and modify the rear bumper the way it is, or just live with it. But if you guys have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do read all the comments and respond. It would be greatly appreciated if someone had any kind of feedback that could help me. The biggest challenge is trying to get this bumper to work without cutting the rear of the chassis horns for the Legends bumper as it is. I really don't know if that's going to work, but if you guys have any ideas, let me know. Remember to like and subscribe to the videos before commenting, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/New Yankee Auto. That's where we keep most of our current progress updates. This is currently filmed in present day in October. Most of the builds are about 2 months behind, so eventually everything is going to catch up, and hopefully soon we'll have our new project, which the builder tells me it's almost ready, so keep an eye out for that too. Thanks for watching New Yankee Auto Systems.